Hi, it's great to be here with all of you. As mentioned, my name is Omar Zahzah. I'm an assistant professor in race and resistance studies at San Francisco State and a member of Faculty for Justice in Palestine. And before I continue, I'd like to observe how great it is to be here with you all in Richmond, which, as probably we should remember, was the first U.S. city to pass a ceasefire resolution on October 2023. And on April 30th, voted 5-1 to add a new restriction to the city's investment policy that called for divesting from companies in or with money tied to Israel and the occupation. So give yourselves a round of applause. Now, I know time is tight, but before I jump into talking about Chevron's role in supporting the colonization and genocide of the Palestinian people, I want to shout out a recent win that came out of San Francisco State University. And some of you may know that under the banner of a coalition called Students for Gaza, SFSU students launched their own encampment on Monday, April 29th, taking part in the encampment movement spreading out across university campuses across the country. Then, just over 2 weeks later, on Wednesday, May 15, 2024, the date Palestinians commemorate the Nakba, or catastrophe, that marked the ethnic cleansing leading to and currently sustaining the genocidal settler colonial state of Israel, Students for Gaza announced the encampment, having achieved several important wins in their demands: a commitment from the president of the university to work towards disclosing all SFSU investments, divesting from weapons companies, and defending the rights of students to protest for Palestine. And SFSU is also the first campus to have a university president publicly negotiate with student demonstrators for Gaza in open bargaining. Now, I think this is all connected because the call for the popular University for Gaza that led to the encampments is part of a broader trend towards resisting any and all institutional complicity in the latest iteration of Zionist genocide against the Palestinian people through measures including denouncement, disclosure, boycotts, and divestment, and that's what gets us to Chevron today. Now, Chevron, among many other things, right, is complicit in so many forms of oppression that it gets easy to lose track. They're honestly overachievers. And so before I get to the main target, I think it's also important to note, we were talking about unions. A UAW 2865 in 2014 became the first labor union in the US, right, to pass BDS, to call on the UC to divest. And after that, essentially, Gibson, Dunn, and Crutcher, which was the firm that led a campaign of harassment, intimidation, and propaganda meant to cover up Chevron's pollution of the Amazon, was the same firm that defended a coalition of graduate students who mounted an opposition campaign to that successful passing of the BDS resolution. And after that, the international board of the UAW nullified that resolution within a year's time. So just to note that even the same kind of intimidation, the same kind of union busting, we're seeing it weaponized across struggles and across fights for justice. Now, let's get to Chevron. Why is Chevron so important? According to crucial research by the American Friends Services Committee, Chevron operates and partially owns the largest Israeli natural gas fields, Tamar and Leviathan, located in the eastern Mediterranean Sea, west of Haifa. It also operates and partially owns the East Mediterranean Gas Company, the EMG pipeline, which runs from Israel to Egypt off the shores of the Gaza Strip. And as the operator of these gas fields and the pipeline, Chevron is in charge of all operations of these projects, including planning, construction, production, and supply. It's a huge player. It's also a major economic partner of the Israeli government. Israel collects hundreds of millions of dollars a year in tax revenue from Chevron-operated gas fields. And in 2022, this amounted to over $462 million. The country's energy production relies on the supply of natural gas. About 70% of the electricity produced in 2022 used natural gas, and almost all of it was supplied by Chevron. The Tamar gas field alone supplied 98% of the needs of the state-owned Israeli electric company, with a contract continuing until the end of 2030. Chevron also fuels apartheid and war crimes. The Israeli Electric Company supplies electricity to all branches of the Israeli government and to the vast majority of Israeli households. This includes all military bases, prisons, police stations, as well as hundreds of illegal Israeli settlements and outposts in the occupied West Bank that rely on Chevron-produced electricity. So in effect, right, All of this means Chevron also has direct ties to the blockade. The supply of electricity to Gaza has been used as leverage against the Palestinian population. And as part of the military blockade of the Gaza Strip, Israel has destroyed civilian energy infrastructure, repeatedly bombed the one remaining power plant, and consistently deprived Gaza of adequate fuel supply, which in turn has made the Israeli Electric Company an indispensable supplier, which provides about 30 to 50% of the electricity to Gaza. This means that, in effect, Chevron operates as a quasi-arm of the colonial Israeli government and directly profits from the denial and weaponization of resources to enforce apartheid, colonialism, and genocide. And according to the BDS National Committee, Chevron has been the main international actor extracting fossil gas claimed by Israel in the Eastern Mediterranean since it acquired Noble Energy in 2020. The BDS movement has issued a call to boycott both Siemens and Chevron in 2022, with campaigning around Chevron previously focused on divestment. Now it's time for supporters of Palestinian rights and climate justice to escalate pressure on Chevron by boycotting Chevron gas stations and gas stations owned by Chevron, including Texaco and Caltex. And what I've read is only a fraction of the myriad reasons to boycott Chevron. This, and I'm sure I'm already over my time. But in conclusion, boycott Chevron, cease fire now, and free Palestine from the river to the sea. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. Yes.